goal, Quishbilly Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Defied the odds and the critics to secure a place in the playoffs come the end of the 46-game season, with only 2 defeats in their last 25 games. A fantastic achievement, and with myself, Matt Shaw, to laud in the glory this week are veterans of 9 playoff campaigns as supporters and a few as a player. I've got the Kos, the Poz, and Phil Senior. Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Matt.
Hey up, Matt.
We all good? We all good?
Good evening, Matt. We're in there.
Fantastic. Right, before we get going, let's just say, Kosi, you had good fun the other day at Magic Rock, didn't you? Down there, you went down and took a photo of yourself, tweeted about yourself, and from the pod account, which was funny.
I'm a classmate. Yeah, I think obviously Slubbers Arms has closed down as well, so I think there's a lot of people going there pre-match. So it was really busy and really good. Obviously, all the town memorabilia up there as well. It feels like a proper pre-match. But obviously should be going a little bit more and that as well. But it's and then to crown it all, Matt, that photo I put on of there, I got Alex Vallejo liked it, mate. How good's that? Do you remember him? He used to play for Huddersfield back. Poz, you jinxed him with that song you don't know, but he had held it against us and Town Lager's available. What a place that is. So when you're there, playoff semi-final, Magic Rock Brewing, don't go anywhere else.
And that's 10% off as well. Online. Barnsley won the game itself. Jordan Rhodes on the spot again. Fantastic delivery from Daniel Sinani. Some controversy maybe with the goal, but it looks to have come off the Barnsley defender, and Rhodes is correctly allowed that goal there. So typical Jordan Rhodes goal on the spot. And then a lovely move for the second as well. A great ball from Sinani again. Good movement from between him and Dwayne Holmes, and then the ball in, and Toffolo, the goal machine lately, 3 goals in 5 games, slid in at the far stick and slotted it in. A decent first half. Town did what they had to do. All good there. Pause. Daniel Sinani is a bit of a frustrating figure for many, isn't he? He's, technically, he's got 1.5 assists, if you like. They don't usually give it, do they, if it comes off a defender? But other than that, quite quiet, taken off at half time. But his left foot is a really key component of Huddersfield Town, isn't it?
Yeah, I like him, to be fair, Matt. I think he's one of those players that can be, as you say, frustrating because he kind of drifts not only in and out of the game that he's playing in 20-minute spells and then kind of goes missing. But then he'll pop up and put a decent ball in or, make something happen. So, a lot of frustration sometimes with Sinani, but obviously I knew you were going to sort of question me, so I did what all good pundits do and did a little bit of research for us. And he's probably played and probably done a little bit more than people think. So he's 68% starting 11 for us, which is quite a decent amount. It is interesting though; he's only actually played 90 minutes 10 times, so he does tend to get subbed, which kind of sometimes you think, is that because he's drifting in and out of games? Is he not having the influence that we need him to have? Or is it just simply sometimes getting some fresh legs on and change in regards to personnel? But I like him. 6 goals, 4 assists. Interestingly, these are all taken from Transfer Market, by the way, so if they are wrong, blame them, not me. 17% goal participation. So out of the 60 goals that we've scored, he's been involved in 10.2 of those, which for a midfielder, being involved in 10 goals is not a bad return, I don't think. Although frustrating, I think if you didn't have somebody like Sorba Thomas, who was absolutely ripping it apart and playing ridiculously well, Sinani might be held in a little bit more high regard. I was talking to somebody and they described it, and I thought it was quite a good description actually. They sort of said they don't know what he does really, but when he's not there, you notice that he's not there. And I think that's kind of testament to how he's not one to fly around and run unnecessary. He puts the shift in, don't get me wrong, but he's not that sort of player where you notice him all the time, because he's like Lewis O'Brien, for example, who's proactive in getting about the pitch and putting in tackles and carrying the ball. So now he's more what I'd class as like a smart player. He pops up in the right areas at the right time and finds the space in between that line of attack and midfield. And you probably don't notice him as much, but like I say, when he's not there, you notice it a little bit more. So I think he's one of those that probably deserves a little bit more credit. He's still, well, I suppose he's 25, so that's probably not young these days in football. It's more like middle-aged, I suppose. But it's first time playing at a level like he has, like he is for Town. Obviously, he's down at Norwich, but not got that much game time down there. He's come to us, and the first full season at Championship level, I think he's done really well.
Pozza, I thought you were describing Phil there. You don't know what he does, but when he's not there, you miss him. On podcast,
you notice if there's no keeper, Kosi. Bloody hell.
Yeah, probably me really.
No, I think he's one of those that he's a valuable member of the squad. I think out of him and the other two, Karoma and Holmes, that play in similar positions, I think he's the best choice of the three. And obviously, Thomas starts every game when he's fit. Interestingly, he's not had any major injuries either as Sinani, which is a good thing. So he's reliable. He's always available. So yeah, probably one of those that does alternative to Tom, obviously left footer and a right footer, putting different sorts of in swingers, out swingers, and set pieces have been a vital part of Huddersfield Town's success this season. And without someone like Sinani being there to put that ball in, we might not be where we are. So,
Oz, he's from Luxembourg. What's the capital of Luxembourg? I remember this from junior school. What is the capital of Luxembourg, Pause?
Is it just Luxembourg?
Yeah. Oh, you.
Yeah, there you go, mate.
Come on, mate.
GCSE geography here. Go on.
You've done me.
That was part of his research as well.
Oh, yeah, look at that actual research.
Look, Luxembourg, it says right across the middle.
Would you press the button?
Would you probably a little bit? Go on, sorry, mate.
Would you press the button? Because obviously Huddersfield Town have got the option in the summer. Would you turn that permanent?
I think obviously it depends if there's a pre-agreed price or anything like that. Like I think he's valued at 900,000 on the transfer market. So if it were anything around about that, I don't think you're going to get much better in real, in these times where players move for ridiculous money. I think £1 million would be a shrewd investment. And interestingly enough, when I was doing my excellent research, I found an article that was written by a Fulham fan who was suggesting that Sinani might be a good option for them to buy in Premier League. So
you might want to have a look at that guy and see if he knows Daniel Sinani.
Matt, would you buy it? And would you buy, man? And you cannot answer. Depends what division we're in. You cannot answer that. Would you buy it?
Depends what price it is. Can I do that one instead? If it's like Pod says under $1 million, then I don't think you're going to do much better. And sometimes it's better the devil you know, isn't it? He's got that left foot delivery. He can whip a ball in, and you know what you're going to get from him. He may even be better once he's had a pre-season, proper full pre-season with Carlos as well, because he obviously didn't have that last year. So I think he could get better, Daniel Sinani. So I probably would at this stage, I think. About you, Kos?
I like him, Matt. I think Potter's described him well there. Just, it's the kind of player that I think he kind of, this sounds maybe a bit tight really for a lot of our squad, but I think he just sums up our season really, does Sinani, and that, like you say, he's contributed so much, but he doesn't you don't go away out of the ground thinking, wow, Sinani were brilliant, very rare. I mean, I think that Peterborough game he really good, obviously scored that great goal that, the other month down there, but he just gets on with his job really, doesn't he, and that as well. It's really effective, but I've skirted around it. I've done a proper politician's answer on that as well, but I think I would get him, but I think below $1 million in today's, or around £1 million in today's market is decent. Even if we have to go again in a championship, I think he's an asset really in that as well. But I don't think he's ever going to be a massive crowd favourite. I know Pozza sings "Ain't Nobody Like Sinani" and what have you, but I think to me he's just a player, just as efficient, and I like him. But you know, it's I think for value for money, Matt, let's get him in. But even for the Premier League, can he go up a notch in that as well? You probably think maybe not, but why not get him in, mate? Norwich would, I suppose, twisting it round again. Norwich coming down again would. I know they've kind of given us that option to buy, but would they see him as a man who can kind of get them back into the Premier League? I think on what they've probably seen from him this season at Township, I think they might think it could be good for them. But obviously,
I think the ball's in our court, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Phil, Britain's Got Talent here. We've got 3 buzzers have been pressed. Are you the 4th one as well?
I agree with what you said. I think in terms of if the price is right, I think I like him, but I feel like he just does enough in a position that he plays, and I think he's got to give us a little bit more. To be honest, he gets into good positions. Technically, he's sound. I think his style would be suited to the Premier League, but I just think in the final third. I mean, the other night we were watching, and the amount of times he got into good positions, and it's that final ball, and for me, a couple of simple balls he could have just slotted in. Just wasn't quite there, and I think that's probably the most frustrating, and I think that's why fans come away. I think instructions really well, which Carlos will like, which is probably why he's getting a lot of game time. But I just feel like when he gets into those positions, in the dangerous positions where we need a little bit more quality out of him, I don't think he offers enough at times, and I think that's probably why Norwich let him go. So time will tell. Someone like that, it might just click, and that quality might come, and it might be a real asset. And I think, like you say, I think that's if you get him for the right price, Premiership, where we stay down, etc. I think it'd be a good signing for us because he
play left, right, or even central. Really, he could probably do a job as a 10 at middle.
I like him on the right. I like him coming in right. Me, I think I'd rather have Dwayne Holmes in the middle. I think he's got that better option to turn the pocket and to drive at defenders. Nani coming out from the right hand side, but obviously Sorba's been doing a good job out there, hasn't he? So, but I also like Sorba at the left, and he hasn't really played much on the left this year. So, it's a funny one, isn't it? But like you say, I'm glad everyone's saying that. They feel like he's done a good job because there's a couple of people who don't think that, and I think it's because he does go through games unnoticed. Whether that's a good thing, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Someone's just put an interesting comment. Jerry Hinnon, I think it is, on the live YouTube feed. He's just made a really good point, actually, because everybody, as we've all just said, talking about how great Sorba Thomas is and how great he's been this season. He's got a good stat on there that goals and assists per 90 minutes. Sorba's at 35, so a goal or assist every 35 minutes, and Sinani's at 34. So, when you think of it like that, we all rave about Thomas because he's...
And that's 0.34. Yeah, 0.34 and
0.34, 0.35, sorry. So they're very, very... I've not got my specs on, so I can't see. They're very
do you wear
close.
glasses?
I do normally wear glasses, mate. Yeah.
Do you? I've never seen you in glasses. Never actually seen you in glasses. I'd like to.
I don't wear
that's
them,
something I'd like to see, is that?
I might wear them next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, as much as we rave about Sorba, that kind of marries him up pretty much banging line. So I think I could
imagine you in. I'm not going to let that go. Sorry, Poz. I could just imagine you in some sort of like really thin Sven-Goran Eriksson type glasses, where you can hardly see them, rather than some really thick black rim ones. I think you go for the sort of modest look, don't you?
Yeah. How bad were they on Friday? I mean, they were perfect opposition for us without 3 major players. Absolute fodder. I mean, I know they're bottom for a reason, but you'd think they'd want to show a bit of fight, go down fighting the last game, on Sky, etc., etc. And they were absolutely awful, weren't they? They were so bad, and honestly, it was just perfect opposition for us. We could not have picked a better team, and I think their following summed up really what they think of their team and their season as a whole. 580 odd? It were pathetic, and they were pathetic. They were awful, but just perfect for us. We could have an easy night. It was done at half time. We could all go to sleep second half, and probably most of us did. And yeah, they were awful. I don't expect to see them back up anytime soon, to be honest. They were bad.
I don't know. They always do that though, don't they? And then they always sort of creep back up the year after, and you think, and they pick players out from Forest Green and all over, don't they? And all of a sudden, and then they go and sell them, and then go back down again, don't they? And then sort of rinse and repeat. They're a strange sort of side, Barnsley, in terms of that. But I think we'll talk about the goal conceded as well, because it was a decent strike. But how miffed did Lee Nichols look in that photo? Do you know where they're all in the changing rooms? He's frothing, isn't he? Absolutely frothing. You know, we did take the foot off the gas completely second half, didn't we? It was dull. Let's be honest. Second half wasn't the brightest. You know, Kosi, you said you'd had a skim.
Magic rock eyes as well. Obviously, I'd had a good drink, but yeah, it was just one of those where you were just wanting to. You didn't want to go early, although a lot of people did. Which, God, I don't want to rant about it, but incredible, really, to think that we should be celebrating. I just wanted to stay at the end to kind of show my appreciation for a brilliant season. We got that playoff spot, but it were one of those you just had to stick with it, didn't you? Because it were just really poor. And as soon as you hit that shot at Barnes, lad, you knew it was one of those classics, wasn't it, where the time stood still and Nichols is watching it and you're thinking it's in there. But luckily, well, not enough time for them to kind of to do any damage, really. But it's it's just getting business done. That's what we're good at doing this year. We get business done.
Just get shit done, don't we? We just get shit done, because that's Huddersfield Town, isn't it?
You're turning that up at half time, aren't you? And kind of watch it, but I had no problems with it really, and half efforts. But to me, what's the point? The job's done. There's no point exerting ourselves. Yeah, you want to ideally 4-5 and all that, but this isn't what Carlos does. I just think we're very efficient, very effective, and it was just a professional job, to be honest.
I can't handle the fact that there's been a lot of talk about we can see games out, and we've just sat back. Barnsley was shocking. It was a pretty easy game. I can't understand from all the years I've played football, just to sit back and not attack. I mean, this obviously I don't know how much we're going to go into it now, but everything was played in front of Barnsley. They were poor. You just said they were absolutely shocking, and everything was in that second half. Everything was played in front of Barnsley, and we never actually turned them and got in their half. And I just can't understand that you do. And that was from the word go in second half. And I can't understand how we wouldn't push on a little bit more and just test their keeper. Did we have a shot in the second half?
Then there's a really rubbish one from Rhodes, wasn't there? Well, not rubbish, but a really weak effort from Rhodes, which was on the turn. Bit harsh saying rubbish, to be honest.
That's how bad it was. I can't remember. And it was just... it's all about the result. I understand that, and sometimes you can't. But it just seems to be a recurring theme that if we are settled into a result at home, we do sit back and a couple more minutes. They score that goal. What's to say in a couple more minutes' time they could have nicked another one? And I'm not expecting them to go out and go all out attack. No, not at all. But surely there's a way of getting in behind or retaining the ball better and playing higher up the pitch than what we are doing. Personnel, obviously Jordan Rhodes playing up front. He doesn't seem to run the channels as much as what Ward will. No Sorba, obviously the outlet which we have been using recently, which has been effective. So maybe it was just the personnel that we had on the pitch. I don't know, but it was just a little bit more like hard work. I left early.
Have a go at him, Kosi. Have a go at him, Kosi. Get into him.
Sorry,
Kosi. I left early. Do you know what?
You were slagging my football, mate.
I rocked up to the game in my shorts.
It was freezing, wasn't it? It was freezing.
Yeah.
I thought.
Anyway,
that wind outside that tunnel, mate.
It was cold.
What did Ken Davey used to say? It's always cold at ticket office because of wind. Should have known. Phil experienced.
Right, let's move this on slightly. Phil, you've got experience of the playoffs, experience of qualifying for the playoffs early as well, playing for a team that's qualified for the playoffs a little bit early. What's the mentality going to be now for Huddersfield Town? Do they now take their foot off a bit and give minutes to people they need to in the playoffs? Scott High played 45 minutes up front. It was a strange sort of sub, I thought, and hung him out a little bit. Although he did all right sort of in the 5-minute spell before and after him when he was in midfield. But there's Scott High, Eiting, Tino. We might need these players in the playoffs. Do you throw them in now for a couple of games, get them up to speed? What was it like in past squads, when you've qualified before the last game? Or should we really go full throttle just in case Bournemouth, as unlikely as that is, and also to make sure we're home for the last game as well?
I think for me, you've got to win games. You've just got to win games. You've got to keep winning. I don't buy into this. Or let's finish here so we can play Luton or etc. I've got no time for that. You've just got to win games. with the building, like that picture that they took in the changing rooms with the bottles of beer hands or whatever, they celebrating together. What team spirit with things. These lads do need game time, definitely, because you never know when they're going to be needed. And actually, when you look at it, people like next, X amount of games, he might be the player for us. He might be one of our leading players if something just twigs and he goes flying through. So I think you've got to keep trying to win, as simple as that, and not looking into anything else. And I don't think the players will be looking and thinking, oh yeah, if we just take us foot off gas, we'll play Luton, because we've seen it before. We came into the playoffs as the bottom team, and we ended up, going through. So who's going to look at us and think, oh, let's pull Huddersfield out of the bag? You're not going to do it in the playoffs, because playoff football is totally different, and anyone can win. And that's what's exciting about it. That's what's sad about it as well at times, when if you finish third place and you've got so many points and you falter to the team in sixth, it's a bit of a killer, isn't it? But yeah,
two words. Ended up finishing fourth, didn't we? We should have finished third, and Pav's back pass.
Just Phil, your expert opinion there.
Oh, he's back. What that, Matt?
Matt.
I was saying 2 words. Pavel Abbott, wasn't it? Pavel Abbott at Cheltenham. We finished fourth. We should have finished third, really, shouldn't we? Because we were good enough. And then, there was the back pass, and we finished fourth. And I think we were quite comfortable fourth. The top 4 teams, 4 teams go up, and we were luckily enough got through the playoffs. But Lincoln, made us work for that, didn't they? Especially in the home game with 2-0 down. I think
2 tough games. So whoever you're going to play, we're going to be tough. Like I say, I've probably spoken about it before, my overarching memory of the playoffs, but with how Jacko kind of approached it, and the weird and wonderful things that we did before it, and like I say, it goes back to your team spirit and togetherness, and as long as you've got that going into the games, I think that's the biggest thing, really. So I'll take anybody, to be honest. We're in the playoffs, I'm happy with that. None of us would have thought that, would we?
I think the thing for me is, though, we were missing like 4. Well, Corona obviously not really done it this year, but probably 4 main starters on Friday. So to me now, if I'm a player on the fringe, I'm thinking, and I get my opportunity in the next 2, whether it's going to, there's places on the bench, maybe even, kind of a wild card to start the playoff semi-final. So yeah. I think that's the beautiful thing with our squad now, and it is a squad. It's like there's gonna be 1 or 2 unlucky cases. Karoma might not make it as a sub, for the playoff semi. Someone might get unlucky. Carl Lighting, I mean, Tino's a weird one, really, because I thought that the Friday night's game was perfect for him, and a first start, and I just wonder where he's even mentally, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
Carlos might. I don't know. Maybe something in training, or maybe he won't quite fit. He won't started, and I was even more stunned that he didn't come on and that as well. So it's going to be fascinating. I think that's the beauty of our and the strength of our season, that there's so much competition now for places. And if you'd have told me at the start of the match that the 2 subs that had been on was Scott I and Fraser Campbell, it's like incredible, really. But Carlos, he just gets it.
No, Scott I come on and play it.
Yeah,
incredible. I'm sure he were up front at one point, Scott I. Like you say, because of the subs that came on were. You wouldn't, if you'd have told me that at the start of the season, I'd be like, "You've gone nuts." What's going on here? Just shows, though, doesn't it, that we have got probably a little bit more options than we maybe think sometimes.
You were up front for half an hour with Scott High. It was a. No, it was no. I don't think so. As well, because in this game, it's tough. A tough part of the game was, as we've seen Daz Hobson, who I think we all kind of know a little bit, don't we? And he, put a tweet which was quite sad, really, didn't he, the other day? And the club rallied round and had a 31st minute applause for him. And Daz has shown what a real fighter he is as well. And there's the scenes at the end with Carlos and his little son Marcos as well, walking around. Some really nice touches, but as nice as that was, it's a really sort of sad underlying theme. And I think all of us would want to wish Daz the very best. And it's easy to say keep fighting, isn't it? To him, but if he ever needs any of us, just for a chat, or wants one of us to go over and just to sit with him and talk about football or whatever, we're all open for you, Daz. So please use us if you want. And Kosi, get fired in, mate.
Oh man, it puts life in perspective, doesn't it? I mean, I think when we all saw that tweet in the week, it's kind of like, I think we all know people. I think some form of lives, whether we work with them or family, that have been affected by cancer, and it's such a cruel disease. And obviously, we've known Daz's story and the banner and the way the club. This is what I love about the club. it's got its mojo back. It's there for the community, and things that we saw on Friday night, obviously with the applause and at the end, with Carlos and bringing the shirt on as well, and it was kind of real tear-jerking stuff, to be honest with you, Matt. But again, in such an honourable time, for everyone concerned, such pride though. I sat there thinking, this is my club. We're on TV and we're doing the stuff with the values, because some people might say, I don't give a shit about the values. Let's just win the games. Let's get promotion. But for me, it matters everything about the values, mate. And whatever I do, no matter what, way work, for me, it matters what we're about. And that just showed the strength and togetherness. And I really hope that it kind of gives Daz some more strength. And he's shown enough already. But it's anyone couldn't fail to be moved with that on Friday. And again, I just kind of, for me, again, it's back to like 2017 and even before that under Dean. It's just the pride that we're a proper club, we look after our own, and and credit to the Barnsley fans as well, who obviously the word must have got around as well, and they were joining in. So real tough moment, but it puts it all in perspective, doesn't it? We're excited to have a stab at the Premier League again, but in reality, it's nothing really. It's just a game of football.
Yeah, I think echoed for nods from you, Phil, and Pozza as well, isn't it? So we'll move on. Let me read some comments out on YouTube. Let me just drag my screen across. So all of those on YouTube, thank you for watching. Sorry if the stream keeps stopping and starting at times. Chestinette over here for you. If we just start at the very top, and we'll start from the beginning. So Dan Porritt had the first word from there, which was nice to see, Poz. Bez5678 says, all I wanted was just one season of mid-table mediocrity. But no, not Town. Instead, we have the emotional ringer of the playoffs. I'd like Sheffield United in the semis, but anyone bar Millwall for me. Johnny Goggs says, evening, lads.
Sorry to butt in after that first comment, but I was talking to a lad on training. We're only young guy, my friend's kind of friend who plays cricket, and I says, you don't know you're born. In the last 10, 12 years, all you've known is promotions or battling to stop up. It's like incredible, isn't it? There's others that have mid-table mediocrity and, season after season. We're either fighting to step or go down. It's incredible, isn't it? It's like this year we were saying, like, just give us a calm season, and here we go again, mate. Blood pressure tablets.
I know. I know. Oh, that is generally all what a lot of us wanted, isn't it? Just to finish 12th. Just 12th had done us, and then we'd actually been quite happy. We sat here third, aren't we? Morning, like wankers. But there we go. Anyway, Johnny Gogg says, evening, lads. Never felt in any doubt on Friday night, which is an unusual feeling. Might say injuries are a worry, but I would fancy us over two legs against anyone, regardless. A boring end of seasons. It's either scrapping for survival or trying to go via the playoffs. Terrier7 says, if Bournemouth and Forest both lose or draw, do we still play our strongest team versus Coventry? I think Phil's covered that. John Pearson says, I'd sign him with regards to Sinani, but I think that we have the option to buy. Just scanning down now. Mike Terrier7 says, these players remind me of when we lost to Peterborough. I'm going to skip that. Chin up, Mike. Steve Blackburn says, I'd hope...
Mike!
I know. Come on, Mike. Steve Blackburn says, I'd hope if we lost in the playoffs. What's with it losing in the playoff stuff? What's going on here? We can rebuild, considering how Carlos, etc. have done with spending next to nothing, shows how well we've done. And Terrier72 says, I read that in the summer there will be £2.6 billion worth of footballers available on free transfers in the summer. With regards to that, he probably wouldn't pay the $1 million for Sinani, as we could probably get someone better. Then there's Jerry Stat. Johnny Gogg says, if we lose Sauber in the summer, retaining Sinani would keep a quality set piece taker on the books, which is a good point. Just scrolling down now. JF says they were there for the taking. I found it frustrating that we didn't push on and put 4 past them, but it felt like no one wanted to get booked or injured, which is probably true. And Dan Porritt is saying, anyone any thoughts on who you'd like in the playoffs? So that's going to come up next. So thanks everybody for joining us online. If you could click on the like button, that would be fantastic, because what that does is it just puts the podcast in front of other people.
That's a good point.
Other town fans.
That's a good point, that last tweet. And I bet we'll have to wait probably for Dave and Steve's podcast a little bit more in depth. But how many of our guys are near getting banned for the playoffs and stuff on yellow cards? And I should have probably
none
through it. None.
There's a reset point, isn't there? That we've just passed. So there's a reset point that we've recently passed in the last few weeks. So it would probably take 2 or 3 bookings for anyone to come near. But a red card obviously changed that.
Naby Sarr, well, we're going to come on to him, Matt.
Throw in with Naby Sarr. He wasn't on it.
The resurgence of Naby Sarr, and we are having a bit of a row with someone in a pub, like after saying, Naby Sarr, we should be looking to sign him on for another couple of years. But I said, well, look, Naby Sarr, if I'm Naby Sarr at that age, he wants to be playing regular football. And I honestly think that he's come in here with a bit between his teeth thinking, I want to show him a bit more than a kind of it sounds really rude, this, but like, you know what I mean? That kind of comical kind of figure. And that's when I'm a good defender, I'm a good footballer. I'm going to enhance Huddersfield Town's chance of going up rather than, oh my God, we've got to rely on this guy, which probably a few of us have thought with, Matty Pearson out and that as well. But I think he's been absolutely sensational. And he's such an asset in the box as well. I mean, what he did at Borough on Monday, and again, like on Friday, really, really smart. Obviously not, given much of a, kind of a battle, really. I thought Woodrow would pull for Barnsley. But all of a sudden, from maybe thinking this guy could be a liability in the playoffs, I think he's going to be a real asset. And I think I've noticed a little bit as well that he's shifting the ball a little bit quicker and that as well, where I kind of think of sometimes last year, and maybe the movement's a bit better, I don't know, and certainly seen it through Drunken Eyes on Friday, probably you're better to tell me than others, but I'm really being impressed with what he's done when he's come in. He looks the man. He looks smart. I'm not setting him up for a fall, but to me, it's like he don't weaken the team with Sarr kind of doing what he's doing and that as well in the last few games. I thought he was outstanding.
Let's look at it one way, Kos. Let's look at last season and Huddersfield Town's minus 71 or something daft. It was something ridiculous, wasn't it? The goal difference last year. I don't think it was that big. But you look at the goal difference last year and the amount of goals we conceded and the type of goals we conceded and some of the errors Naby Sarr was making. But then you start to think, what are the reasons for these errors? And you look at what he's had around him. And, I'll happily let you slate Richard Keogh until the cows come home. But, he's got Richard Keogh one side of him, Ryan Schofield, bless him, behind him. And we all like Ryan. But, Ryan, the problem Ryan's had is very much, you throw a cross into the box on the penalty spot 10 times. 4 times he might come and get it, 4 times he might stay at home, and 2 times he might come and flap at it. And it's that sort of indecision around him, which maybe doesn't bring out the best of Naby. But now he's got Tom Lees, and Tom Lees is magnificent. I can't ever say enough good things about Tom Lees. He's so good at the back, so reliable and steady. He's got Tom Lees there. He's got Lee Nichols. Lee Nichols is unflappable. The Football League Awards are tonight, and if Lee Nichols doesn't get Goalkeeper of the Year for the Championship, I know there's a few Huddersfield fans will be burning the FA, the Sky Bet Championship headquarters down, won't they? But he's got a different type of player around him now, Naby Sarr, which obviously brings out a different side of him. And you play Naby in the middle of a 3 as well, and you let him do what he does best, and which is use his pace to cover and just win that first ball. And he's a really good option, and he's proved as well in a 4 against with Tom Lees as well. He's got that ability as well. Yes, he may still have the odd blip here and there, in what he does, but we've changed the style of play as well. That's another thing. We were trying to play out from the back, whatever, last season. And this year we've got, we're very much, safety first. We do play out and it's safety first. And I think things like that take away some of the risk, in terms of Naby Sarr. And he's looked better for, the complete change around in personnel and the way that we play. And fair play, Naby's come in and he looks absolutely fresh. And Jordan Rhodes, they both look really fresh, raring to go. And it's a real feather in the cap and a real sort of nod to them that how professional and decent they are, that they've waited all season for these opportunities and they haven't kicked off, they haven't sulked, and they've come in and they're going to go, right, I'm having it now, I'm going to take this shirt. And I think that's really brilliant from both of them. And it really says a lot about the professional ability of both players, and Naby in particular. And I thought it was really good how they allowed him to break his fast 5 minutes before half time the other night as well. And it was really nice to see the support of everyone around him, and and Pozza and everyone sitting in the south stand singing "He's Electric." And I think Naby Sarr will be feeling he's big enough as it is, but he'll probably feel 10 feet tall at the minute because he's playing well. He's well loved at Huddersfield, and long may that continue.
I agree, man. I think it's testament to a lot of players' character this season, and obviously we've highlighted Naby Sarr there, but there's a few others. There's somebody like Josh Koroma, were one of those I were a little bit, if he's not playing week in, week out, will he sort of take his bat and ball on? But fair play to players like Koroma that were one of the major players last year, weren't they? Let's be honest, Koroma. Without him, we potentially would have been relegated without the way that he played. And he's done exactly the same. He's waited for his opportunities and come in and played, as if he's never been away, which I think is an absolute testament to himself, but also to the coaching staff and backroom staff who have drilled this sort of team mentality and squad mentality into them all. So, yeah, long may it continue. I did think that we could have probably waited an extra 5 minutes though before he ran off for something to eat, I have to say.
I've spoken to Worthy and Danny Schofield recently about the squad and stuff, and they keep talking about how good the characters are in this squad, and I keep going over it and over again, and it does make a difference. The lads who have been brought in are real leaders, and the changing room's totally changed. But I think these kind of players like Naby Sarr and Koroma through the season, results are key. And two, obviously, the fans are going to get on your back, because we do. And like you just said there, Poz, like Naby Sarr, the way that he's come in, hasn't played for a while, comes in and performs like he does. It is brilliant. Now, these players sometimes do respond like that, and then if they get over in the games, they get found out a little bit. And it's probably why they jump from club to club, because they come in and do a good job. Everything's nice and rosy. They get to the table, and then things kind of change. So, but I think they're so valuable to a team like ours, well, to any team that are trying to, progress up the league. That I think they do go under the radar. And it does go. The work they do does go unnoticed. And like you said, Pozza, I think it's right that you acknowledge how well these players are doing, and it's really pleasing to see when it comes off. And like you say, the lads, singing his name in the stands, it's brilliant. And you're right, it gives them a massive lift. It really does. You stand 10 feet taller. I've said this last year before. Fans make a massive difference, and for me, sitting from the other side of the ground, the cowshed have been brilliant again, even when we're not playing well. So it can work, because even when we're not playing well, he's still singing, and it does make a difference to your team. And we've been singing even though we haven't been playing well, and it makes a massive difference to the squad. It really does, because you know that everybody's behind you, even if you're struggling.
I'm going to roll on now. So we tweeted earlier, or I tweeted earlier from the account, who we would like in the playoffs. Now it's confirmed. I never really wanted to touch this subject before, because it felt like touch wood, jinx and everything. Not that I'm overly superstitious, but you just feel like you're tempting fate a bit. So now we can finally say, with the playoffs confirmed, who would you like to see us against? I was relatively surprised by the answer. 4.8% said Nottingham Forest, which I'm not surprised about, because Nottingham Forest have proven to be on an excellent run. 68.7% said Luton Town, which did surprise me, because Luton Town are a club playing without pressure at the minute, and they are on a similar wave to us as well, full of good characters, with a manager who's really got them fired up, and they are a difficult side. I would think not many would want to play against Luton Town. Sheffield United 21.4% and 5.2% for the others. Some of the comments that came through, so Dag Barnett says we play whoever and give it our best shot. Thanks, Dag. Johnny Gillespie says, could stomach losing to Luton, and Sheffield United can't cope with losing to Forest. Sheffield United semis, Luton in the final. And HTFC Opinion says Luton, and not because I think Luton are poor, far from it. I just fear the other two more. And we've also got an ideal scenario with Sheffield United in the semis and Luton beat Forest. And then Ian Littlewood at the end says, I would like to see us against Barnsley. So there you go. So unfortunately, Ian, that's not going to be possible. But yeah, so it seems to be that Luton and are the popular choice. I can see pros and cons for all three. To be honest with you, I would probably be slightly more comfortable with Sheffield United, maybe. But even then, if they click, it's it's very difficult.
Don't write Middlesbrough.
Just because you're mates with Graham Bandera now, you've gone all pro Middlesbrough, haven't you?
Hey, I'll get you a discounted bit of that. Don't you worry. But no, they've still got 3 games that they could. Patty does think that as it passed them by, but they've still could get in there and that as well. But it's I'd still put them in the mix and all. They
were in the other section. So if we look at it, there's 2 games left for Sheffield United. They're 5 points ahead of Middlesbrough, who've got 3 games. So Sheffield United need 4 points really from 2 games, a win and a draw to. I haven't got in front of me who they're playing exactly, but let's have a look. Sheffield United fixtures. So Sheffield United have got QPR away and Fulham at home. That is tough for Sheffield United. So yeah, so they're not completely not out of that yet. Whereas Middlesbrough, let's have a look who Middlesbrough have got here for you, Cosmo. Middlesbrough have got Stoke at home. Stoke are flying as well, oddly, aren't they, at the minute? And Preston away. So, yeah.
They've got it.
And Cardiff at home. So, yeah, Middlesbrough have got a really good chance, actually. Yeah.
The biggest load of bollocks that I hear year in, year out, there's a team that comes in late and no, bollocks. It hardly ever happens like that. It hardly ever happens like that. So I'm not worried about Sheffield United if they get in. I know there's talk of Billy Sharp, the perennial Huddersfield basher, getting fit and what have you and that as well. But I just think it's about expectation. And I totally agree with what you said there, Matt, about Luton Town. I think it looks, I think if you're probably pricing it up now, I think Huddersfield Luton game's looking pretty, not certain, but it's looking very likely. But I would be mad. I'd really want that second leg to be at the John Smiths. And, well, is it 4-point gap now between us? It ought to be, really. But I think that'd be so big. I wouldn't want to go to Kenilworth Road anytime soon. I think what's impressed me with Luton is we bet them, Matt. And I thought that was such a big win for us. And it was a real deflating defeat for them. And I was interested to see where they were going to go.
They bounced back, though.
Forest, mate. They played Forest Good Friday straight up and they beat them, mate. And they would deserved it. And that is going to be such a tough game. And honestly, I was saying, I've done that podcasting again for the Dave Prutton. I just thought I'll name drop and what have you. But and I did say the word PISS, but I put the froth that would boil with a Huddersfield Luton final. I don't know how that could happen maybe now.
Froth boiling?
Mate,
that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Imagine
that would
the
send people into meltdown.
Because these others like Forest, they're divine right to be there. It's so fascinating. It's so exciting that we're in there. And it's fascinating that, I just don't know which way it's going to go. But from a personal point of view, I prefer the Friday and the Monday combo just because I'd rather have my Saturday off. But I'm just thinking we just got to give it its best shot. My biggest worry more than any of the teams, Matt, is who's going to be fit for us, because it's okay saying, yeah, we can rest players, but we're talking about an hamstring. I mean, I've heard from a couple of people who reckon they know Danny Ward, who's seen him and blah, blah, and he's walking all right. But it's all right walking in IKEA. I think someone said he wore or whatever. But one thing, running in a semi-final of a playoff when you're trying to get £130 million, in the bank and that as well. So they're a bit awkward out there, these injuries that we've got. And obviously Sober's the big one. It's been a bit of an awful week, hasn't it, really, with that? Obviously we saw him with the crutches celebrating with the fans, and then we're trying to get somehow people that I know at the club. Well, how bad is he? And then obviously the specialist, and then Andy Kay proper launched into me on the Twitter, which was funny, saying, "Well, where would he go? If he's got a problem?"
Nose and throat.
Yeah. But my kind of point was there. It's like, shit, this sounds really serious, but I can totally get what Andy's saying and that as well. So it's more that our injuries that worry me rather than the teams that we're going to play. I know it don't make for good debate for your little section here, Matt. Sorry.
No, I think that section's pretty much over. I see pros and cons in all three. Phil will seem to be in agreement. With Luton are a tough, tough outfit, and Poz was quite quiet, wasn't he? I think Poz fears the play. I think Poz fancies we could get second, to be honest. So yeah.
If we were going to talk about teams you wouldn't want, I wouldn't fancy going to Millwall. Not because I think they're a great team. Just because I have flashbacks to...
You got PTSD from 2010.
Yeah, just what sort of atmosphere they can...
Oh, yeah.
Williams.
Robbie Williams was too scared to go get ball to have a throw-in. I dare say we've probably got a little bit of a stronger character in this team than that now, but that just kind of haunts me a little bit. I think that I was going to... Luton thing as well, Matt. I think a lot of people potentially just looked at the names of the squads. Luton, small team, historically not very good. It's easy to think, they'll be pretty easy to beat.
Good side. Good side.
I don't think, the moment they are a decent side. And I think that'd be an interesting battle, us and Luton in a semi-final across two.
Similar styles. Yeah, similar styles, aren't they? But they're a little bit more direct than us. But, the on and off the ball, quite similar. Shape-wise.
Which is going to be controversial, but I don't think our fan base has got the hunger Luton have got. There's no doubt about it. The intensity in there. You don't get people walking out when we've clinched the place in the third place, nearly third or fourth in the place like we had on Friday. And I get the game we're done, and I get it was cold and what have you, but they're really hungry. They're where we were. We were living and breathing. Everyone waiting for the celebrations. We didn't have that on Friday. I looked around, loads had gone.
Yeah, I think the difference there, though, because with Kenilworth Road being a bit smaller, it's not going to be as intense. And I was going to say I agree with you. I think if second leg's at home, I know we're historically very bad in playoffs at home. We've never won a home leg as well, let's be honest. But I think if we played Luton away, and even if they beat us 1-0, I'd be confident that we can create an atmosphere in stadium that would see us over, especially this season. I fully agree, and I think they are us out there in 2017. Luton are what we were like.
I think we're Reading. We're Reading. This is what worries me.
Yeah,
we're like Reading, aren't we?
It came on that the other day against Sky Sports Classics, that finally when I went working on again, and Christopher Schindler and all that. But it just made me, that bubble came up like a dream bubble, thinking, because when it came up last year, I'm thinking, God, I'd give all for that back again. And now it could be here again. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's just that we were in the Premier League a few years ago, and like Pozzy's right. I think there's a lot of fans just go, I don't want to go back there. It was horrible, and there is a lot of that, isn't there? There's a lot of sort of trepidation about going back to the Premier League because it's full of absolute knobs, isn't it? Everywhere you look, it is the media, the opposition fans, Scudamore, the people that run it. I cannot stand Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports. I just. And everyone on there and the agendas that they have are just so. But I want it back. I want it back. Give it. Bring it on.
Phil, would you take 9 months of pain and maybe a 13-point season? We win 4 games, we get battered every week, but come back a better club and do everything that we didn't do before and not get set up. Because part of me thinks, let's be honest, it's not as good a squad as what we had before. But that doesn't mean to say we couldn't do something special again. But it's just. I know, but maybe this is the chat after the playoffs, but I don't know. There's something just not. I don't feel the vibe like with the fans like it is. And Matt, you maybe give it the nail on the head. I can't work it out, but it didn't feel on Friday night like a town or a stadium that were believing and bouncing that the playoffs are coming again, and the crowd were a bit poor, and with the numbers in the stadium, and it was discounted. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, and it's a bit sad, really.
We won't take 38,000 to Wembley if we get to the final either. Not like last time. We will struggle for 30 because people have been there and done it. And
I was going to say that, Matt. I think because we've had that one season where we got up where no one ever thought it would be. You touched on people there, sort of thinking, would it be a good thing to go up and all that sort of stuff. And I'd put myself in that category, in the fact that. If we'd lost to Reading at Wembley, I'd have been crying or distraught for months and weeks and years probably. Whereas
instead, we were crying for 2 years. Yeah,
still crying now. Yeah, if we don't go up this season, I'll just be like, fair enough. We've had a great season. Yeah, I'll be a little bit gutted, but it won't bother me as much as what it would have done then. And I think just sort of moving on the agenda on a little bit, it's the scale of the achievement to get to where we've got to, as it is. I think people underestimate that achievement.
You've stolen Kosi's bit, you're stealing Kosi's bit.
I'll move on to it. I think that's probably why we're not as aggressive in his celebration, shall we say. We're not getting full houses because the people that turn up for the big games and stuff, they've done it. They've had that moment in the sun, shall we say, when we got promoted. And for me, I think that's probably what's, Town 17,000 is probably about right. I don't know if that's what they gave out. It probably looked a little bit less in there.
And the average is that, yeah.
Also, there might be Bradford City fans watching you now thinking, just tuned in on miraculously and like thinking, Christ, when we got in the Premier League, if we'd have like 4 years later after being crap for 3 of them in between, like had a chance to get back in, you live it, you breathe it, you get it, you want to go back there, and look at them now. I just wondered, like, in a few years' time, God, let's hope it doesn't happen. But I don't know. We float back to League One and we're mid-table, and we look back like, bloody hell, do you remember 2022 when we won 2 asked about going in Premier League?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's madness, isn't it? What Phil, talk us, get some sense on this broadcast, man.
It's a bit surreal listening to you all, to be honest, because I'd be devastated if we don't go this year, because I just want us to be in the top. And irrelevant as being in there already, I want to go back again. And you hit the nail on the head. I want to go back again, but do it properly this time. So get the players in that want to fight for a shirt for Huddersfield and that really want to, that have never played in the Premier League before and want to prove themselves. Do you know what I mean? I want us to get to that kind of. I'm not bothered about what the rest of these fans say. Like Leeds United fans, like taking Mickey out of us. Or what do they have? A higher attendance than us the other day for under 23 game? Who cares? Nottingham Forest fans talking about how crap I'm not bothered about anybody else. I'm bothered about what we do as a club, and I want it to be.
I like it.
Yeah, but it's right though, because you've said it today. Like the values of the club, it's getting back to where it needs to be. The thing for Daz the other day was unbelievable. Everybody stood up, and my little lad stood up and started clapping. He says, "What we're clapping at?" Do you know what I mean? We just need to play as high as we can and try as hard as we can. As simple as that. I'll be devastated if we don't get into the playoff final, and I'll be devastated if we do get into it and we lose it. And that's one of the reasons I don't want us to get into it, because I feel like we've been spoiled, and I will be gutted if we go to Wembley and we get into Wembley. I'll be absolutely gutted, because I just think we don't get these chances often. And we want to make the most of it. We definitely do. And if our squad is nowhere near as good as what it was last time we went up, because it isn't, who cares? And who cares if we're going to the Premier League? I don't. If we go up and we lose every game and we come out the worst team in history to be in the Premier League, I couldn't care less. I just want to be in there, and I want this team to get better and better and better over the years. That's just my opinion. But
I think that's clippable. It's clippable, isn't it? I could do a Brady and clip that. That's decent. This is why we have Phil on the podcast, isn't it? This is why This is why Phil's a sought after pundit. You know, you've been on the Huddersfield Town official YouTube one, and you know, we better keep. You know, this is what happens. We best keep you under lock and key, Phil. You'll be going on to Sky Sports at this rate. But yeah. So those injuries, just to finish those injuries, Pearson seems to be still in a knee brace. Seems a little bit unlikely to feature before the end of the season. Colwell's got a hip injury. I don't think we'll see him the last two games. And the worry with Colwell as well is that every injury has to be signed, for him to play again. It all has to be signed off by Chelsea. So, we're also in the lapse of, what Chelsea say, whether he's allowed to play in the playoffs.
I'm no like psychologist, but some of the last few games before he got injured, so many times he had his hands on his hips, and I'm thinking he looked knackered, or there's kind of a problem in that as well. But here, a massive spider has just appeared in front of my laptop. I'm off. I'll be back.
Is he burning his house down? So the other one,
scared of a Spider-Kos.
Sorry, I think your clippable moment's just been usurped by Kosi running away from a spider. Yes, I ain't seen it. It's probably time. I know. We're like David Speedy in his prime. So Sorba. So there are some rumours about Sorba's knee. There's no, but we'll stick to the official line, which is no time scale on a return. And Danny Ward hamstring, no time scale either. But like I say, Kosi said walking around IKEA, but he was walking around the pitch after the game as well, quite freely. But hopefully these guys will be back as soon as possible. Have you sorted out that tarantula, Kos?
He's gone, mate. It's gone on somewhere else. I don't know where, but yeah, it should be all right. Hopefully.
It's nesting in your pillow upstairs. So Kos, before Poz ruined your section there, Poz, just tell us about the scale of the achievement from Carlos, and you had a little financial graph, didn't you, on WhatsApp and stuff?
Honestly, I know we shouldn't mention them in here, but I've got quite a few Leeds United fans who have watched our progress, and some good ones. Believe it or not, there are some good ones.
I don't believe a word you just said.
Honestly, Matt, to believe it or not, and they've kind of saying it's incredible kind of what he's doing. And, there's times I kind of walk away thinking, so I don't think some of our even known fans appreciate what a job he's kind of done on that as well. And I know we've talked about here, I do honestly think a lot of it is just because, kind of the tub thumping wag. Because the season's gone on, I think Carlos has kind of embraced that. And obviously that were a beautiful sight, wasn't it, on Friday night when he brought his young one on the pitch. And I thought that were really good. And honestly, the job he's done is incredible. I cannot think of a manager who's, certainly in Huddersfield Town, who's took, a team that, when were the, we were tipped to go down even by everyone on this pod pretty much. And
speak for yourself.
Stay up. I'm struggling to think of a turnaround like this from anywhere else. And obviously there's the manager awards or the EFL awards tonight in there, and it'll be the usual name that will get. It'll be Scott Parker or Silver and what have you that will win it. But there's no doubt in my mind. Carlos, 100% should be the manager of the season. Who could have done? Honestly, a number of texts you get, don't you? I had you to go down this year. You knacker my accumulator for relegation and this, that, and the other. And it's just absolutely brilliant what he's done. And I think, again, he's not had the greatest budget, and he's managed to turn players, maybe players that we'd kind of written off. That, you know, I know the recruitment. I mean, God, I feel so bad because it's all coming back to me now. What we
Don't
were saying.
feel bad. Don't feel bad about it, Kosi.
Phil, because we were saying this like, these are not Carlos's players. As if Carlos would want a reject keeper from MK Dons, as if Carlos would want like a centre-half that kind of Luton didn't want a big kind of guy who's like no frills. And I think the best thing for me is that we were on about this football, this kind of Bielsa, again mentioning Bielsa style football, but it's nothing like that. And he's had to tinker what he really wanted to do and get the players to kind of to buy in on that as well. We're playing a different way to last season, Phil, and I think that's brilliant for a coach, especially at a young age like that, to kind of think, right, okay, I'd love to kind of play this way, but we can't really, and to get everyone to buy in and to do what he's done, I think it's brilliant, mate. And what I love about his team, it's so hard working and that as well. You get Danny Ward, it's incredible, mate. I'd love to see the running figures this season. He's just chasing lost causes and stuff, and people kind of racing in and putting pressure on the keeper and stuff like that as well. He's brilliant, mate, what he's done. I can't believe, you know, what he has done. And let's be honest, I don't shout for managers' heads, but I'd have been not too bothered if he'd have gone. Most people have been happy to say goodbye to him and that as well. And I know he flashed up on the screen on Friday and again caused division in the fans, but Phil could have easily pushed the button and he didn't. And we're reaping the rewards for that bit of quality.
I messaged Matty Pearson the other day. I seen he had a picture of him at Disneyland. I says, "What are you doing at Disneyland?" and I just kind of said, like, I can't believe like the development of him himself. I says he's even like pinging balls into the middle of the pitch straight. He used to be like a curly toe, like swinging around players. But you can see, because like you've said there, like the work that he's done with these kind of players is unbelievable. You know, it's like I said at the start, didn't I, about Matty? I says, you know, good player, put 100% in, but I didn't think he was the right kind of player for us. Proved me wrong. We've said it about a lot of players, haven't we?
Phil, how do players kind of think? Because to me, it's like, you hear it a lot now, especially in modern game, that the players have got to buy into this and the players have got to believe into this. And it's like, part of me thinks, well, hang on a minute, you're a footballer. The manager tells you what to do and you should do it or else you're out of the team. But modern day football ain't like that, Phil, is it? Because to do what Carlos wants people to do that dirty work and that as well, you've got to have people kind of buying. And how does that kind of work in a dressing room? Do you, because like you mentioned, there are players that are not in there. They're part of the dynamic of the dressing room, and it just feels like everyone's just all over. What if he said like run through a brick wall tomorrow or on Cooper Bridge roundabout with no clothes on? People would.
You know, we've talked about some of these players. You know, we've talked about Tom Lees, Matty Pearson. These kind of players, I think, sometimes at certain points of the career need that. And I think, you know, this identity, Wagner had it when he first turned up. This identity, some players need it. And I think it kind of rejuvenates the career. It revitalises it. It's something that sometimes is needed in a person's career. And certain players do well at certain clubs, don't they? And I think a lot of our players are responding really well to what Carlos wants to do. Training, like we've mentioned before, it's on the whistle, bang, 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 bang. Players are working, it's high intensity, and it goes throughout the club. So everybody in the club buys into it. How long that can last for, I don't know. You only have to look at Bielsa and the way that he went through. And I know they had a lot of injuries at Leeds, but is it something that can last, that intensity? I've got a funny feeling Carlos has kind of looked at what's going on at Leeds and he's had a lot of input from some of the, you know, like Danny, Worthy, etc. And I think they've kind of come to an agreement of a certain way that they all want to play, reading between the lines. And that's from last year. So they probably had a meeting there. What's gone right? What's gone wrong from last year? Players have had a little bit of input, and I think you can see that now because I think you can still see the kind of the way that Carlos wants to play. But they've got their own kind of stamp on it as well of the players, and it really does help. I just can't believe the transformation in Matty Pearson, and you know I will hold my hands up. And even though he's a mate, I didn't think it was the right kind of move for us, and I'm so pleased that it's been proved wrong. And that's down to the gaffer, it's down to the staff, it's down to the gaffer, and it's down to the individual players that they're choosing. And I think first and foremost, it's got to be a certain type of character. And I think they've obviously chosen well, haven't they?
Oh, it's going to be hot property in here after this season if we don't, even if we do go up, to be honest with you, and that as well, because people will be thinking, God, how's he got a tune out of some of these guys? But, mate, if he brings Rwanda on in the playoff final and he scores a winner, then, mate, we might as well be done with football. He's completed it.
I saw it would either an Instagram or a tweet from him tonight, I think it was, or maybe yesterday, and I was like, oh, I forgot about him. Do you know what I mean? This Aaron Rowe, where's he? He was fantastic, wasn't he, last year?
He were only a sub the other day for B team.
Can I not be on the podcast when we have to go through our predictions from the start of the season? Can I not be on it? Because I think mine were absolutely shambolic.
Not the only one, I'm afraid. Not the only one. I think Matty Glenn did all right, and the rest of us were an absolute shambles.
Oh.
But never mind. So to finish off, it's like you say, Kos, it's the EFL Awards. I think Lee Nichols will get the goalkeeper award. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. Other than that, I think Steve Cooper, Nathan Jones are up there with Carlos, aren't they, really? But you kind of still think they'll probably just give it Marco Silva because it tends to be what they do, isn't it? But other than that, I don't think they're up and at yet. So I'm just checking the Sky Bet Championship Twitter feed, and they don't seem to have done anything yet. It's 10 o'clock and they still haven't done anything yet. So, we'll find out tomorrow, won't we, if any of the Town players are in. I personally would have had Lewis O'Brien and Lee Nichols in the Championship Team of the Year, but they seem to sort of go for more of those with goals and assists, don't they? So Lewis probably won't be in. But what about you guys? Who are you guys going for? Sort of Championship. Who's impressed you most? If Pozza's looking worried now because he doesn't take much notice sometimes that other teams do.
I like that Brennan Johnson at Forest. I'm hoping he ain't going to do us in a playoff game. I love him, mate. And he's good.
It's class,
mate.
Isn't he?
I used to like his old man and all, mate. I mean, that shows.
Yeah, all right.
That shows my age, but I used to like David Johnson as a footballer. But yeah, he looks good, and honestly, for our team, it's brilliant. And you know what? I'm on that many Town discussion groups, probably like everyone like WhatsApp and that as well. But Sam Johnston, like they had to pull out the England squad, and you're thinking, bloody hell, he can't lay a glove on Lee Nichols this season. Why ain't he being talked up as an England man? Or are we just getting too carried away now?
I think that's a bit too far.
We're always biased to his own players, aren't we? We only see his own players, and we only concentrate on his own players. So we don't know 100% how Sam Johnson's done, have we? So I mean, he's a good keeper in himself. Played against us, and Nichols looked a lot better. But it's like you said there, Matt Lees. Everybody we've loved watching him up with this season. He's been an absolute revelation. But there's some quality in this league. There really is, and it'd be interesting to see what this team looks like.
Be interesting to see if I'm presuming they'll pick a manager. They'll just go for a famous name, but Luton and Town. You look well, yeah, potentially, yeah.
You wouldn't surprise me.
No, but these experts and these, like I say, we watch our team, and there was someone at Luton saying that there'll be X, Y, and Z at Luton, and someone at Forest saying X, Y, and Z. So I always take these sort of awards with a bit of a half an eye on who's awarded it and how much have they actually seen of these players, because Premier League, everybody watches it, done it, match it day and all that. I can't see many people watching, EFL on Quest, on a regular basis. So how much do these people who are awarding these awards actually know? I know we are biased, but
they're voted by the players, aren't they? These ones are player votes. Yeah. These ones.
Oh, if the players voting, then that's a little bit different, I suppose. But
I think Mitrovic might get some. You never know, do you?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think managers though, you've got to look at, Carlos is definitely in running. You're looking at, there's players that he's worked with and the value of, his squad. I think Kieran Maguire from Price of Football tweeted some other day about the values of the squad, to assemble. It must be based on last season's accounts, obviously, but I think ours were around about 17 million, and Fulham and Bournemouth were, well, I know Fulham were over 200 and Bournemouth weren't close. So, I'd imagine Luton were even less than us. So for Town and Luton to be where they are, it's got to be one of those for me. Not just a name, or Nottingham Forest have done well, or Fulham have. Any of those could.
Patrick Stewart against Reading just lay.
That's suits him.
Bournemouth and Fulham, any of us could potentially manage them to get promoted. So yeah, I think they need to start thinking outside the box a little bit more. But the team of the year will be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was quiet for a minute because I was just doing the Spider-Kos in YouTube. Sorry, not YouTube, in Photoshop.
Why has he got pictures of Kosi in like different dresses and stuff? Why has he got pictures of you, Kosi, in like loads of different... Matt, have you got like a massive library of him? Have you got a Batman one?
Mate, I just made that. I made that in 45 seconds. It's called talent, mate. That's what it is.
You made a good point on our group about Sky Sports getting it wrong with our finances and stuff. What were being pointed out?
Me?
Yeah, don't let me down here. I'll have to bring
it were the only highlights of VFL. It were Colin Murray talking about parachute payments. I can't remember the name of pundit, but he quite rightly corrected him, saying, although they've had the parachute payments come down since we've dropped down, we've spent very, very little. They were sort of suggesting that because we'd just be, a bit of lazy journalism, really, suggesting that just because we'd been in Premier League, in not so distant past, that we've got all this money swirling around and we've spent a lot. And the pundit on there is a decent pundit, and he quite rightly corrected him, saying, look, yeah, they've had the parachute money come in, but they've spent next to nothing on players. And he kind of knew what he was talking about, and he just sort of a little bit of stuff like that sometimes really wound me up, where it's just an obvious thing to say, innit? They were in Premier League a couple of years ago. They've obviously got a load of money, so that's why they're at top. And actually, no, it's not. It's not because of that at all. It's because we've got, probably one of the best young managers outside. Well, in England at the moment, for me, don't play exciting and fast football, so probably don't get the credit that it deserves. But we're
from Roy Hodgson.
Could be worse. Could have Mark Hughes, couldn't we, I suppose.
Paul, I'll tell you what, that Joby McAnuff don't want us to go up, does he? He's got an issue with us. I don't know if it's that Reading thing a few years ago, or maybe I'm doing a disservice, but he's always got a bit of an edge or a grudge against us, and he's always doing our games. Bugger off, mate. We don't want you for playoffs doing it.
And Andy Hinchcliffe definitely does. He hated us, didn't he, when we knocked Sheffield Wednesday out of the playoffs? He was like Chef Wednesday, and he's so when I think Chris Lerver scored. Yeah, Chris Lerver scored. He's just like really bitter. He goes, "Oh, there's a German scoring a penalty. What a surprise!" It's like, yeah, get in the sea, sunshine. Right, I think that's probably all we've got time for, unless you guys have got anything else that you want to bring up.
I was going to say commiserations to Huddersfield Town's women's team today. They lost the final 3-0. I know we kind of get involved in that a little bit. I know it's probably not the main interest of 95% of Huddersfield Town supporters is the women's team. But, hats off to them for getting through to that League Cup final. And they went down 3-0 to Southampton, but a massive effort to get there. So if anybody from Huddersfield Town women's team is listening, well done for that, and a good achievement that.
I did watch an hour of that early. It was streamed on Facebook, and I watched a good hour of it. And to be fair, until the first goal, it was very, very even, and they put up a really good display against a decent Southampton team. And I think once Southampton scored and they had to open up a bit, they just kind of eventually just picked them off a little bit, which was a shame. But they did so well, didn't they, to get to the final, and they've done the name of Huddersfield Town really proud, haven't they, in doing what they've done. So, well done to them all for getting to the final. And there's no shame in losing to a good side like Southampton. So, all the best to them. And thanks for bringing that up, because it should have been on my agenda.
I just got a plea, just everyone, just get behind the Town. Look at Sunderland, mate. If you want any convincing that these times we might not want to go up or we might want this, look at Sunderland back. They're going to probably miss out on the playoffs again. Sheffield Wednesday lost at Wickham again. They've been out of it many times. These are the bloody brilliant times, the best times. Get your asses to the ground, to the games. Come on, let's fill that ground for that semi-final. And I still don't think we will. No matter we play, whether we get there Friday or the Saturday game. Come on. I'm not bothered that people maybe not gone all season and coming back. Don't matter about pride or, I ain't gone. Not bothered. We just want all them seats full with Town fans. Come on, come back on board. Never mind. Phil said it. You said it tonight. Let's get in there. Let's cause some havoc. Let's boil some piss again. Let's do it together. Come on. Let's get there. We want to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
They are actually announcing some awards now on the AFL thing, but there's nothing in terms of Team of the Year. There's some good stuff, but
is Mark Hughes got Manager of the Year? Mark, he's doing a job.
To be fair, did you see that touch from him when the crowd threw him the ball and he chested it down and backheeled it to the guy for the throw? That was class. That to be fair, that's a
great job down there. Keep it up, Hughes.
I know. Right, guys, I think that's all we've got time for. So thanks to everybody for listening. Sorry about the little drops in and out, but we'll upload a better version for the audio. Yeah, sorry for Spider-Kos as well. Also, probably give you nightmares tonight as well as the rest of us. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening, and a good night to you all.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.